What's going on, guys? Welcome to April's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, how you doing? And are you excited to discuss the very big task we had this month of beating Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? And spoiler, neither of us did.
Yeah.
So this will be a review in progress. It's going to be our spoiler-free, for the most part, discussion on what we think of the game so far. We'll talk about it more. And are you excited to find out what we're playing in May?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. We just watched a couple episodes of anime. We watched Kaiju number 8 and Delicious in Dungeon. You can check those out on Tasty Flicks if you want to see our opinions on those.
Link down below.
And then I am excited, but also not excited to talk about Final Fantasy VII because it's gonna be hard to talk about spoiler free, in detail. But I'm sure we'll get through it.
Yeah, let's talk about something real fast because somebody might be watching this thinking this is gonna be like a full review because you're not used to how we do things around this channel. When we do these, it's typically our impressions of the month that we played it. Now, we both had intentions of beating Rebirth in April because it was our game of the month. We jointly picked this game of the month. But neither of us really realized how much of a task that was going to be. And so what chapter did you get to?
Chapter 11.
Chapter 11. I think there's 14 chapters in the game.
Yeah.
Maybe more, but I think it's 14. So you made really good progress. I think you're over 100 hours into the game.
Yeah.
And I got to chapter 6, almost 7. So, and I was starting from when I originally played it, I got to the beginning of chapter 2. So I went from 2 to almost 7. So I put some time into it. You put more time into it. And we'll talk about that. But because we're at different parts of the game too, we can't talk about the story really, except for vague stuff. So we're not going to go full spoilers. But we will talk about what we think of the game so far. But yeah, it's going to be a little challenging in this conversation. So take this as a in-progress review, our impressions of where we're at so far.
Yeah. And then as far as what we're going to be playing, I'm definitely looking forward to that because what I've seen of the PlayStation Plus games, they're a little on the light side when it comes to time investment. And so I should have time for a game of the month this month. Though I do fully intend to finish 7 Rebirth this month as well. And hopefully, with any luck, Dragon's Dogma 2, finish that as well.
Yeah, and once we actually finish Rebirth, we can do like a full spoiler discussion on that for anybody who might be let down that we didn't beat it this month. But it's a big fucking game. And I could have easily passed up a lot of the side stuff in the game, and there's a lot of it. We'll talk about it. I'd be cheapening the experience they crafted for me to be playing if I did that. So, it was a balance trying to do all the story stuff, but also every time you're in a new chapter, there's all sorts of new stuff to do. So, you mentioned PlayStation Plus, though, so I'll let people know that EA FC 24, Ghost Runner 2, and Tunic are games for May. That has been confirmed since we did Plus Club, in which we reviewed Immortals of Avium, Minecraft Legends, and Skull the Hero Slayer. So those are new games we'll be discussing. Thank you, Windows. And that was loud as shit. And yeah, if you're curious, we did review April's Plus games, so check that out over on Plus Club. And thank you everybody who watched that and commented over on Reddit, where we have the conversation for that. So yeah, anything else you want to say before we find out our game of the month for May?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because I'm excited to find out what we're going to play because I also am in a similar boat. Tunic seems like a fun little top-down Zelda, old-school Zelda-esque.
I know a lot of people like that game.
Hack and slash game. It's a game I've been curious about but never pulled the trigger on because it's not like my kind of game. And then Ghost Runner 2, we played the first Ghost Runner, I think last year on PlayStation Plus. I think we both thought it was okay, but not really super into it. So hoping for big improvements with Ghost Runner 2. And then EA FC 24, I don't fucking care. I'm sure it's fine. Sports games, as I've learned over the last couple of years when it comes to sports games that I would never play otherwise, except for playing it on Plus Club, they're all fine for the most part. Every once in a while.
FIFA was surprisingly fun.
Yeah. I'm always kind of surprised by them, but there's only been one sports game I thought was bad. So
Yeah,
and I think it was a baseball game or something.
I think so.
I don't remember. Yeah. Anyway,
Or no, it was the golf game. I thought.
was it?
Because the multiplayer is just the ball, and it was like really boring because of that.
I don't know if I would have disliked the whole game for that though. Although the customization in one of those golf games sucked too. One of the golf games sucked. Anyway, go back if you're curious and figure that out for us because I don't remember. So yeah. Anyway, we have a new game of the month we have to pick for May. Which, if you are listening and you're curious about what those are, basically how this works if you're new here is we have back burner games that we put on a list, games that we would like to go back and play, but we're not doing right now because we're always trying to keep up on all the games that are coming out. And so these are games we would like to be playing, but maybe we just need the incentive to play for the channel. It gives us a chance to play it, talk about the end of the month. So on this list we have Armored Core 6, World War Z, Baldur's Gate 3, Tekken 8, DayZ, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Helldivers 2, Age of Empires 4, Remnant 2, Age of Wonders 4. Was that on there? Oh, there's 2 4s on here. Party Animals, The Finals, Power World, and Street Fighter 6. Is there any games on that list that you would hope to win?
And we're already kind of dabbling in Remnant 2, so that'd be really
great.
convenient.
Yeah.
We both started Grand Blue. That'd be nice to go back and just kind of finish.
You have like 2 chapters left.
I don't want Baldur's Gate 3 right now. Obviously, I'd play it if I have to, but I am like playing RPGs right now. It's kind of rough. Party Animals would be super easy. Finals would be super easy. Power World would actually be pretty easy as well.
It'd be weird to land on Power World because like
just had an update recently.
I've just kind of forgotten about that game at this point. So
and then today I had actually a hankering to play Helldivers 2, so I would be okay with that as well.
Yeah, and they've added a bunch of stuff since we last played. So last time we played had gotten to the highest level that you can unlock things. So I just had to keep playing and unlock everything. And since then they've added stuff that's beyond my level. So it'd be nice to kind of work towards things again. So
and new catalogs to get stuff out of. So.
Yeah, they've just been adding a bunch of shit. So it'd be like playing a brand new game again.
Yeah.
So I am hoping for, let's see, World War Z be super easy. That game's super easy for me to play at any time. I love games like that. Tekken 8 would be easy. Grand Blue, I actually kind of hope because I could finally just finish it. Helldivers 2 would be a good one. Remnant 2, I think, would be the best. I hope that wins, but now that I've said it, it's not going to win.
True.
Just because we are playing it, I want to be playing it. The new DLC came out. I want to play through it. So we also need to beat the game again so we could get a specific archetype that we missed the first time around. So yeah, that'd be great. The finals would be super easy. It'd be a little disappointing just because I've already finished this season's battle pass a long time ago. But there is some things for me still unlocked now finally, and they are releasing a search and destroy mode, which I'm really excited about. There's no healing and 1 life. So
that's right up your alley.
That would be really cool. I'm really excited for that. I'm not in the mood for Power World right now, but we'll see what happens. And Street Fighter 6 be easy too. I don't own that, but I could just play yours, and just like Tekken 8, you can just play mine. So yeah. So with all that said, should we find out what we're going to play in May?
Yep.
All right, let's spin the wheel. And 3, 2, 1, and go. It is spinning, and we're going to find out what we're playing in May. Hoping for Remnant 2, but I won't get my hopes up.
Nope.
We are creeping
easy
towards and Party Animals.
So May's just easy.
That's an easy one, and that's a game that I always kind of want to play, but don't have like the need to play. So it'll be kind of nice to just play it because we're supposed to, and have fun with it. So we will be playing Party Animals. Super simple. In May. May will be a party. Chevy's birthday party. Party. I typed in party May.
I saw that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's that. Yeah. So we played a game in April, and that game is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you didn't get a chance to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, hopefully you played Remake before you started Rebirth, even though you can play Rebirth without it, because it has a very simple recap. that serves better as a refresher for somebody who did play Remake than somebody who didn't. But anyway, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the second in the Remake series following Remake, in which it's a reinterpretation of the original Final Fantasy VII game that came out on PlayStation way back in the day, the legendary game that I'm sure everybody knows about. So, yeah.
I would hope so.
I don't really want to give you a synopsis on the story because, like, I mean, what would you even say?
A group of, I don't know what word you'd use for that, environmental conscious freedom
eco-terrorists.
Yeah, a group of eco-terrorists.
Avalanche.
Trying to stop a corporation and a product of the corporation who is running loose in hopes of saving the world.
While hiring a ex-soldier merc who's trying to figure out his past.
Who's also a product of the corporation.
Yeah, we'll just keep it there. That's fine. If you don't know Final Fantasy VII, go play the original or play this. Yeah. So it is a third-person action RPG. It meshes action gameplay with turn-based, menu-based combat. It features a very cinematic story, an open world locations, unlike the last game. A lot of side things to do, which is something the first game lacked. Whole sections devoted to just doing activities. And yeah, there's chocobos. You can ride those around. So you got mounts. What am I missing? A materia system, which you can customize your characters, skill trees for your weapons. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it's basically, you have your typical leveling systems you would see in a lot of modern RPGs, mixed with a lot of mini games that are more akin to, at least in modern day, you're mostly going to see the kind of stuff in like a Yakuza, but it used to be a lot more common in older RPGs.
This game feels so like after having played Yakuza Like a Dragon, then Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and then playing this, I'm like, they're really taking a note, and not that they have to. JRPGs have had side things forever. But recently the Like a Dragon games have really been like the example of games that have extra things to do, because Yakuza's always been like that, and so this game definitely feels like it's like trying to rival them a bit, because there's a lot of shit to do in this game. Yeah, so we both played it. How about you share your impressions of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in April?
Okay. Well, first off, it looks really nice. Mm-hmm. And I am playing in performance mode, not in graphics mode. So I still think it looks good. So it's nice to be able to say the loading
The update did wonders.
Can be noticed from time to time, especially if you've been in a zone for a long time and moved to another one. The graphics will be a little worse for a second, then pop into better looking graphics, but it's not really a big deal, to be honest. Combat is very smooth. I actually think it feels a little bit better than the remake. I feel like they've made some tweaks. Also, the expanded cast helps with that as well.
They made big tweaks, because I played through and beat Remake like a day or two when this game came out. So I got to play it right from Remake to this game, and all the moves I was familiar with from Remake are in this, but their animations are different and they're more complex, and everything moves smoother, and yeah, it's an overall less stiff experience.
Well, and so to comment on a comparison then, one of my big complaints in Remake was, though the combat was fine, I didn't really like playing as Cloud. I think he felt weird in the remake. And in Rebirth, I actually, even though he's not my favorite to play as, I do think he is a lot better to play than he was. So he just feels really smooth now, and I don't feel I have to rely as much on parries as I did in the first game, which is nice, because I'm not a huge fan of that. Though he obviously still has the mechanic for it. Speaking of characters and their mechanics. I think they've done a really good job of making every character feel completely different, which is honestly kind of impressive.
Yeah, the first game was really good about that too, but this one has more to pick from,
Yeah,
and they're all
exactly.
very different.
I played the DLC to the last game before hopping into Rebirth, and so I got a chance to kind of see what Yuffie was going to be like anyways. I really like the way she plays. So, like, I'm glad they didn't change her too much or even at all. I think she plays exactly the same. And her ability to be able to just kind of like switch into different elements and stuff like that is really nice too, because then you don't have to rely on spells if you don't want to be a spellcaster, for example. You can just switch her ninjutsu over so you can do any element you need a weakness to help stagger enemies.
Yeah, where I'm at in the story too, she's not on my team yet, but
Yeah.
she's hanging out.
She's fun, for sure. She has, not to get too into it because obviously you're going to want to experience it, but she has a melee mode, which is going to be very familiar feeling to all the characters in the game who can get up close. But then she can also throw her shuriken, and it basically attaches to them, and then you start casting ninjutsus from a range. So you can do both with her, which is really nice. Because one of my favorite things about in the first game is I would switch between Tifa and Barret a lot. So if I want to be up close or far away, in this game I could just be Yuffie and just do both things, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, in the first game, I always played Cloud and Tifa. I really liked Tifa's moveset, and Cloud I liked in the first game. I do think he's better in the second game, though. And Tifa's still good. Haven't played Yuffie yet. Barret feels about the same.
Yeah, Barret's pretty much spot on.
Aerith is not really my cup of tea in either game, but it's because her play style is not really... I'm not like a support type person, so...
It's also like really slow, so it's kind of boring. Because the rest of the game's not like that pace.
Yeah.
So,
and then...
and to each their own if you like her. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and Red 13's cool.
Yeah, except for he's a defense character, so it's a lot of blocking and parrying, and I just don't like that. But he gets perks to doing it, so like you were really incentivized to do that.
Yeah.
Plus, he has health drain when he switches into one of his modes, so he can self heal, which is really nice without expending mana or MP. Yeah, the chocobos you brought up earlier, without getting too deep into it. If you're familiar with the original game you would breed chocobos, and by breeding certain ones from different regions, you would unlock things like climbing walls, swimming, flying, etc. This game has a different approach to that, and I don't know if I like it, to be honest. It feels too mini-game-like to me. It's less chocobo breeding. Obviously, there is no chocobo breeding, but chocobos are region-specific in this game.
Yeah.
And so they have a gimmick in every zone, and it's different in every zone.
You have to gain access to them in different regions to have them, and there's specific things you got to do to get them.
And I'm not in love with it. And very specifically, Chapter 10 can kiss my ass when it comes to the chocobo stuff. Was not a fan. I will leave it at that because I don't want to spoil it. But the chapter I'm in now, 11, the chocobo stuff is a little better, but it feels very gimmicky, and I'm just not really a huge fan of it. I'll do it if I have to, but I mostly will just run around on foot at this point. Let's see. The story is good, which I'm happy, because like my big hang up with the remake was the way it ended. Kind of huge question mark in my head for me if I liked the road they were going down with the retelling of the story, or if it was going to pay off. So far, it feels like they are heading down a direction where it's going to feel like it pays off, which is nice. I assume it was going to, but I don't like to just put my faith completely in them either. So
where I'm at chapter 6, so I've played for a little bit, but I'm not super far into it. There's 14 chapters. I don't know if it's paid off yet, because the story is kind of meandering.
Yeah, well, and it does. So that'll actually just bring me to pacing. I think pacing is a little off in this game.
Yep.
Because in all that extra stuff to do is too much busy work, in my opinion.
Like wrangling chocobos per region.
That's probably like the least egregious.
It still feels like busy work to me.
The Far Cry stuff, basically, to put it as simply as I can, finding towers, going to the combat zones, going to the research spots, going to the scanning spots. These are all things that are like the only one that's like engaging at all is the fight because like they're little challenges versus like the scanning is always the same. It's the same 3 rings, the same exact button every time. It doesn't change. It gets old very quickly, and you have to do a lot of them. And then the other one is basically like it's like playing Simon basically, and I just don't think it's fun. So
It's funny because like the infield activities to do, I don't love or hate them, and I've done a lot of them, but I realized at a certain point I'm like, I'll come back and do this if you can. Otherwise, I've done enough of these. I'll move forward because I have a problem. I have a similar problem that I'm having in Infinite Wealth. Both games are so loaded with activities to do that the core story is getting lost in the momentum for me to want to keep pushing forward because I'm so invested in the story is fading because I'm doing so much other things. And I like that there's all these activities to do because it's not just like the linear game that was remake, but and you have the choice. You can keep moving, but within 6 chapters of this game and where I'm at in Infinite Wealth, I'm like, can we get the story rolling just a little bit so I can get like more invested? Because right now I feel like you're just kind of going like, look at all these things you can do these things. And I'm like, okay, I'll do them, but like, why am I doing them? Here's some stuff you earn. Well, that's cool, but get me into your story. And I'm sure it gets better later, but as of right now, I'll take it over not having it. That was a big thing Remake was missing was stuff to do.
Yeah.
There wasn't just like side quests like find my cats or whatever the hell. So yeah, I prefer it, but it does for me personally. I'm not saying it's a problem with the game, but for me personally, it distracts me from what I'm playing the game for, which is the story first and foremost. But the reason I was even bringing up the activities is the mini games where I'm at in chapter 6, where I'm on the beach, the footage you guys are seeing, which I will cut out the story parts of that footage because I don't want to spoil any of that. But all the mini games I'm playing there, it feels different because it reminds me of when you're playing Resident Evil 4 Remake and you go and talk to the gun vendor guy. There's a shooting range there. And you go down and you get rewarded for increasing your grades and stuff like that.
Right.
And in this, there's all these like rewards you can get for getting the best times at all these mini games and stuff. And I'm like, I'll go back to them and I'll play them because I'm like, I could do better. I could do better than that. And so for some reason, that scratches my brain a little bit more than like grab this tower, go find this location, go fight this thing the way we want you to fight it by adding pressure to it or staggering it, which is fine. But it's just interesting that they're both kind of doing the same thing, but one works for me better than the other one.
So what I was going to say is the field objectives are repetitive and they just feel like busy work versus the side objectives inside of hubs are fun. Yeah. And I those are great. Like in every zone that there's side stuff to in towns, including King's Blood and stuff, or Queen's Blood or whatever it's called.
Queen's Blood.
Yeah. That's all fine. I like that stuff a lot, actually. I think they handle all the mini games inside the zones, the hubs, I mean, really well. But in the zones themselves and the fields and stuff, I think they could have taken half of them out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is an opinion, but I just feel like I'm spending a lot of time doing chores and not playing the game anymore. So
yeah, and I skipped a lot of them just because I didn't want to waste time on it. Basically, I mean, like I could do it, but like I want to stay motivated with the story. So I wouldn't even necessarily advocate for them taking it out of the game or having it, but I wish they would have focused a little harder on making those interesting enough to do. Outside of, just as the completionist part of your brain is like, oh, fuck, I got to finish this map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is what I'm doing with this game. Is I'm finishing every single map. And so, like, mostly because there are rewards tied to it. And so, like, I am doing it for that. And, even though I'm, like, obviously complaining about it, I don't hate it to the point where I'm not doing it, obviously. I just think they could have handled it a little differently because it does feel very copy paste. So, that being said, go back to the hubs and those mini games and stuff. I think they're all done very well. They're fun. They're different. It happens a lot in a lot of different zones. They really got creative with that. Even like stuff we had kind of talked about it before. Minor spoiler warning when it comes to Junon. But in the original game, there's a parade. You do participate in it in a minigame fashion. In this, you do the same, except for it's way more elaborate. Honestly, it was welcome because it was a fun way to kind of handle the same thing they kind of already did in the original game.
Yeah, I was mixed on it because the spectacle of it I thought was cooler. But there's a part where you have to go find people.
Oh, before the minigame.
That if the humor of each of those situations landed for me, maybe I feel different, but it felt like busy work. But the cutscenes I didn't mind.
Yeah.
And so I would have almost rather watched that scene play out than having to interact with it. But just because I thought the activity that it wanted me to do wasn't engaging gameplay wise. But yeah, it was interesting because I had completely forgotten about the parade. We were talking about that, and I was like, "Did that happen?" And then you start talking about it, I'm like, "Oh, no, I remember that. It just wasn't as like big of a thing, like activity wise." But
yeah, and then I don't believe there was chocobo digging in the first one. This one does have it, which has been in a bunch of Final Fantasies at this point. So it was a welcome addition because it's something that exists in the franchise at this point. Unless I'm just wrong and it wasn't that one. I just don't remember that being in the original 7. The cutscenes and the story, when it's being done, is done very well. It is a pleasure to watch. I can just sit there and participate in that all day long. The voice acting in the game is very good with the exception of a couple characters, and I don't even necessarily think they're bad. I just don't think they fit my idea of those characters. We've kind of mentioned in the past, I think Sephiroth's voice actor in English is not very fitting, in my opinion. And then I can't remember. Sid. I think Sid's voice is a little weird.
Yeah, I haven't heard Sid yet. I agree with Sephiroth. I think Cloud is fine. I think Red 13's good.
I like Red a lot.
I think Barrett, the voice is good. Stuff he says sometimes, I think it's kind of lame.
It's pretty lame in the original game too, though.
Yeah, but it's Western. It's very Western. And then Tifa's fine. I'm hit or miss with Aerith. I think sometimes she's fine, sometimes she's not.
I think she's better in this game.
She's way better in this game, 100%. A lot of the things I didn't like about her in Remake, it doesn't exist in this game. So I don't know what happened there, but I'll take it. I just think she's kind of like... honestly, she's not even that bad in this game. I'm just saying, like, sometimes I'll pick up something like, But for the most part, in English, I think most of them do fine.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are bad. Sephiroth just feels miscast. The guy's fine. That's Sephiroth's voice. I did last night when I was playing it, switch it over to Japanese. We have to restart the game, so I didn't even hear what they sounded like yet. So I can report back. But I was curious because I was listening. I forgot who the fuck. Somebody was talking, and I'm like, it's got to be better in Japanese, man. Like the way they delivered that line, like, oh my god. So yeah, I'm gonna try it out in Japanese. But the problem, me and you were both on the same opinion on this with most things, is we prefer the language it was originally intended to be in. The problem with video games as opposed to watching a movie or anime is a lot of times, especially in the age we live in, modern gaming, a lot of things will be happening on the screen you have to interact with while people are talking, and then there's combat dialogue of actual important things, not just passive things. And so you don't want to miss out on those things. So you hope, because modern voice acting is so much better than it ever was. We're getting good to acceptable, voice acting. It's not bad to play the game in English anymore, but I still feel like it's probably a lot better in Japanese. So yeah, I kind of want to experience that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's just original directing and intent. It's just like Final Fantasy 16. is fantastic in English, but it was designed to be in English.
Yeah, you can definitely tell there's a huge difference in the voice acting in Rebirth versus 16, because Rebirth's fine, but 16 I never thought about the voice acting other than going like, he's fucking selling that.
Yeah, dude who played Clive was awesome.
Yeah, but even the other actors I thought were good,
Sure.
but they did localize that while they're making the game. I mean, I remember early
It's the
trailers.
original language for it.
The early trailers of the game were in English. I was like,
Yeah.
already? So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. What else can I touch on? Without going into the details of the Golden Saucer.
Oh, I think you're going to talk about the real elephant in the room, the Moogles.
I will.
Okay.
But the Golden Saucer, I was curious about that because that was such a cool part of the original 7, and I think they did a pretty good job of modernizing that for this game. I kind of missed the snowboarding game.
It's not in this?
No. But the motorcycle one was.
Okay.
So that was cool. I didn't love all the games, and one of them is straight up just, go in and fight some monsters, which is fine. I'll do that. But yeah, overall it was cool. Though, never mind. I'm not going to say that. I haven't experienced it fully yet, is all I'll say. So there's still a one-on-one I need to have. I'll just say that hasn't happened yet. Let's see. So you brought up the Moogles. I said this in the first game. I'm going to say it again. I have no idea what they were thinking. Like, the Moogles are hideous. Like, they don't look like Moogles. They look like dolls of like butchered koalas.
They're creepy. Yeah.
I hate them, quite frankly. Just like the carbuncle from Remake was hideous. I don't understand what they're doing here, man. Whatever design decision, I don't have to love it, but man, like the little baby chocobos in the game are adorable.
Adorable, yeah. And the chocobos are cool looking too.
And they're spot on, yeah.
I think they ran into a conflict when they're trying to make the world more realistic, because they're trying to bring this older graphic game alive in a modern way, like try to make it look, as realistic as possible. And I think in a lot of ways they did a really good job on that. Character models for like people are great looking, and like chocobos look really good, and other monsters that a lot of them look really good. But then with the Moogle, it's like, well, we're going for like a realistic look. Will Moogle even fit this? And I would say yes. Just the Moogles from 16, I think, looked really good. But and that's a realistic looking game. But yeah, they're like, well, let's take influence from like an actual real animal, and they obviously took koala, and it's just weird because they got like weird teeth, and they're like kind of Moogle-like, but also not.
Bro, they're aliens.
Yeah, they're creepy. There's a thing early on where you gotta do like a mini game with them, and
Or you do that like 7 times, but yeah.
okay. I was only saying early on so people don't feel like I'm spoiling something for them later, I guess, but not a big deal in the game. It's kind of a side thing. But anyway, they're trying to like stop you from doing something, and they almost come off like menacing. I'm like, I'm in like hell right now.
True.
So yeah. But yeah, they nailed the choco. Carbuncle is weird looking too, but also kind of looks like my dog. So
Your dog ain't Megamind.
he got a big head, dude. But yeah, the chocobos look good, and the baby chocobos are adorable with the weird thing on their ass.
The little like seed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they got giant heads too.
I love, even though it's a repetitive task of like finding all those checkpoints. I will pet every single baby chocobo every time. So, the summons, there are a lot in this game. I appreciate that. Final Fantasy VII has so many summons, and they went crazy in this game with them.
Yeah, Remake felt a little thin in that
It had
regard.
like the standard fare.
Yeah.
This has like the weird ones, which I'm
Yeah.
like, thank you. Like, I got some pretty weird ones I did not expect to see. Very happy with the summons. They're so cool. So I love seeing modern interpretations of them, especially some of the more crazy ones from the original game. I have a couple now, and they're just like, I intentionally, as soon as I got them, I was like, I have to see that, and I went and got in a fight and pulled them out, and I was like, holy crap, this is cool. So very cool. I like that a lot. The dual attacks.
Oh,
Such a good feature.
Yep.
So fun. I love that they also have like different type, like either like enhancing, giving you a leveled up limit break and a third bar to use, increasing stagger time, unlimited MP for a short period of time, stuff like that. They're so cool, and the animations are great for them. That's a lot of fun. I like that a lot. So I'm glad they added that for sure. And then I got 2 more things. I'll give it to you because I've been just kind of rambling.
No, it's fine. I mean, I pretty much agree with most things you're saying, so I'm trying to think of what I can even add to this. But
side quests are good. They're fun. There's a lot of dialogue in them. Sometimes it's a little fluffy, but it's fun. I think anyone who's played the game and has done the dog side quests probably is in love with that. I love it. I should have been just outside of Junon for the first one.
I remember a dog quest. I don't remember.
You escort him?
Yeah.
There's a song that plays while you're escorting him, and it's hilarious.
I don't remember a song.
It basically goes bow wow wow bow wow wow, and it's like this upbeat music. It is hilarious. Thank you for that. That was quality material to put in the game. And then I had something else we could go on there, and I'm distracted by the bow wow wow.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's fun. I've seen a couple TikToks where people are like taking my dog for side quests, and they just have that song going.
I have to look it up because I can't remember that.
It's fun,
but I remember the dog escort mission.
Yeah.
So maybe I had my TV low or something. I don't know.
Oh no, what was the other thing I wanted to say? I'll leave Queen's Blood to you because I think you have a more positive outlook on it, anyways.
Yeah, I do want to obviously get your thoughts on it though.
It's fine. That's mostly my thoughts. I'm not in love with it. It feels I don't know, a little basic sometimes, and then other times
maybe that's why I
complicated.
like it. Maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah, there's a couple challenge ones where they throw some like you have to play the field backwards, or like you have to rely on like deleting and buffing people. It starts getting a little more complicated in that regard, but most of the game I run the most simple deck I can, and I win every time with it. So
I feel like it's designed for people to be able to play different ways though, which I like. So I'm not like a big card game person at all. Most time in a game, if it's trying to teach me a card game, I'm just like whatever, and I just move on with my life. And this, it has some simplicity to it, which I like because it's not like overly complicated. But then it's like the cards you get allow you to do different moves, and it starts reminding me of a mix between a card game and chess. And I like chess. Checkers, whatever. But that's something more I can kind of dive into mentally. Because with card games, it's like I put this down, this has this ability or this number, and this takes this from that. And that doesn't really do it for me. But in this, like, you look at your card, it shows you what it does, it tells you what it does, but also has like, a grid and position of where it's going to do things. So I can put my card here and take this guy out and put this card here to buff these cards. And like, it just feels more strategic in a visual way, I guess, for me that I like. And the only reason I am even talking about it is because, like I said, I don't like card games. So that I like this game even at all is pretty cool. So much so that, I feel like it could be its own game. Or at the very least, they should add it to Final Fantasy 14 as like a card game or something.
That'd be pretty easy for them to do, I think.
Yeah, because it's something I could play on the side. I kind of like it enough to just play it. There was a part in the beach segment where I was doing all the mini games where you had to complete 3 challenges, which are they're just like predetermined. It's like a puzzle you got to figure out, which kind of sucks, especially because there's like a person talking over, telling you when you're doing good and bad. Basically, they'll talk shit if you put it in the wrong spot, and they'll be like, I didn't think about that if you put it in the right spot. But even that I thought was kind of fun as a puzzle to figure out.
There's some pretty crazy ones later, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. But So far, I like the rule set. I like when I get new cards, kind of expands strategies you can do, and I would like to see this game in a way that real people can play against each other. I think that'd be a lot of fun because obviously all these people you run into that you have to beat are basically just challenge modes on like how to out strategize them, whereas like a real person I think would be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty similar to like when they did like Triple Triad and I can't remember the name of the other version of that card game they had before, but they always have like a game like that.
Yeah, and this is like the only one I've liked so far.
Yeah, I'm pretty partial to Triple Triad myself, but
Yeah.
I think that was originally from. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 9's version of the game because 8's was technically the first iteration, but they changed some of it when they brought it to 9 and made it a little more, in my opinion, playable. So, but my memory could be bad on that because that was late 90s, early 2000s. So, oh, I remember the last thing I want to say. The zones coming from the old game, the original game, to seeing them in their interpretations in modern graphics has been just like super cool. Nostalgia and awe at the same time. It's fun. So
I had a lot more nostalgia in Remake because it was a more linear experience, so I got to see those more iconic places in better graphics. This game, I'm sure that'll happen, but even like Junon and some of the other locations I've seen so far have been really cool, but I'm still in that part of the game where it's just like introducing open world features and things to do.
Junon's probably one of the first big zone like things you do. Where
Yeah,
you're like,
well, just seeing
is...
like the giant gun and stuff was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't got to experience any of the big iconic scenes. Really,
I've been to a lot of zones now. I'm in. I can't say it. Yeah, I'm getting towards the end of the game. I've seen most of the zones in the game, so and it's just been a lot of fun to revisit zones and just to say some in no particular order, but like Cosmo Canyon. It was neat to be able to see that in 3D. The under part of the gold saucer, the prison, I think it's called. Stuff like that. It's just kind of neat to see in modern graphics. So, but yeah, I've been going for a while. Overall, I had a good time. I kind of knew I was gonna. I'm pretty easy when it comes to Final Fantasy. I'll play pretty much all of them. So, but this one obviously holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts, but mine included.
yeah.
But I am also, skeptical until it ends. Where it stands up with the original. It doesn't have to. Obviously, it's its own game at this point, which is good because I could still play 7 if I want to play the OG one, or I could play these ones. So.
When I beat Remake, I went from going like, oh, this is an interesting remake that takes some liberties with some things, but still very faithful, to beating it and going like, oh, this is its own thing. This isn't a remake of 7. This is a reinterpretation. This is a whole new thing. And that's about as, I'll be vague about that because there's people who haven't beaten it, but that's just what I came out thinking. And so going into this game, I have that mentality of going like, they're telling their own alternate story basically here. But yeah, it's been interesting, but the nostalgia is definitely still there in a lot of ways. So, because obviously I love Final Fantasy VII as well. So it's just been kind of interesting to, have those nostalgic feelings and like, oh my God, it's that scene of that song or whatever. And then like something else happens. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's interesting.
I kind of throw it out there too, just in case you're wondering why certain topics haven't been brought up when it comes to moments that are this game only. I did that on purpose because there's spoilers. So
sure. Which doesn't really, I don't have a whole lot of things I could spoil here except for like, gameplay stuff people might want to find out on their own. A couple things. But for the most part, where I'm at, Chapter 6, it's been a lot of we have to do this and follow this. Mm-hmm. We got to go here. And so there hasn't really been a whole lot of big moments. There's been plenty of like cinematics, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's been introducing systems, side stuff, how regions work, how chocobos work, how mini games work, a lot of activities to do. And so if I'm comparing it to the remake, in terms of like gameplay, I think it's improved in a lot of ways. I think combat's better. I think they've added some systems that I really like. I like that what they changed when it came to upgrading from the first game.
So it used to be your weapon would have a tree when it leveled, and that's gone. Now it is a party level type system, whatever. And then as you fight, you slowly earn points that you can put in.
And every weapon has like its own specific thing too, so there's like a reason to like go back and
and you master them and you unlock them permanently.
Yeah. So and I much prefer that, because I thought the first game, like I didn't want to interact with like upgrading my weapons, because it just felt like
I feel completely the opposite, to be honest.
Oh really?
Yeah, I hate the new system. So.
But yeah, everything else, graphics are improved. Obviously, this was made for newer console. When the game first came out, so I can't judge it based off of it because they fixed it since then. But when it first came out, it had the graphics mode, which looked great but ran like shit, and the performance mode that looked horrendous. So much so that I decided to play it on graphics mode, because I just could not look at a game that looked that bad, even though it ran at 60 frames per second. Since that originally came out and looked like that, they've had a patch where there is a soft and a hard performance mode. Both look better than the original performance mode, so that's awesome. I've been playing it on performance mode, and it looks clean and plays smooth, so I like that. Yeah, what did we not really talk about? I'm having it's not a negative, because I know things will roll soon, but I am having motivation issues so far. Same thing's happening to me with Infinite Wealth as well, so there's a little preview on what I think of that game. They're both fun. This game, I'm having fun playing it, but I just wish there was a little more meat to chew on in terms of the story as of where I'm at now. I know it'll get better.
I say to compare to the original game, though, this part of the game was kind of like this. So
yeah, but because the first game was like more linear, you got those more iconic scenes more regularly, and this you're spending a lot of time running around the fields and doing a lot of the busy work stuff, which again I would take it over leaving it. I prefer it's there because it gives you something to do, makes the world feel more vast and worth exploring more. But just the nuance of like the trade-off for me is with that gameplay, added gameplay, which is good. I do find myself every once in a while going like, okay, let's get the story going though. I'm ready for that. And so you can choose to do that. But it's just kind of an interesting thing that I guess for certain people you can't make them happy either way. So it's kind of what I'm just being self-reflective on. Something I haven't really thought about, because a lot of games I don't have that feeling with, and now 2 JRPGs I've played recently have given me that feeling where I'm like, I like that you did this, but at the same time I have this like weird feeling of like, also I feel like you're just kind of keeping me busy. So take that as you will. It's not necessarily a criticism, just kind of like me trying to figure out how I feel about that. Because when cinematics do happen, story stuff happens, for the most part, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of dolphin stuff happening at certain points. I'm like, this is interesting. But yeah, it's a huge improvement, though, over the last game in terms of gameplay. There's so much more stuff to do and so much more things to find and unlock and work towards. So I do appreciate that. I do agree with the Chocobo mechanic and how you have to unlock them regionally. I get it. It's gameplay. It's giving you something to do every time. But at the same time, it's not really fun, in my opinion. It's just you have to do it. So kind of reminds me of like Far Cry, where it's like, okay, to unlock this area, go find the tower and get the place unlocked so you can see all the things in this area. And this, it's like, okay, go find the Chocobo thing to do and get your mount. So yeah, don't hate it, but don't love it. The mini games, like I said, I have been enjoying. I think it's kind of fun, the approach they've taken with them. Maybe it's like the nature of them being more fun and like light, as opposed to like just go find stuff out in the woods. That I like about it. Also, because there's a score that you can like beat yourself on. I'm more competitive in that sense. So I'm like, oh shit, I could totally get like the silver or gold, or I can improve my time or whatever.
It's also like weapons and stuff locked behind the
Yep.
high score. So
which I like. Yeah, there's stuff to get, so it's not just wasting my time. There's stuff to do, so I like that. And the footage you're watching is a lot of the mini games that I experienced at the beach part of the game, and unlocking swimwear, which I also thought was fun, because it's just like, why do you even have to do this outside of, why not different outfits? So obviously there's a reason in the story for why you got to do it, but it's not a strong one. But yeah, like even the one where like you're Red 13 doing like the soccer game, stuff like that, like I was like, oh, I've played this game a million times. So doing that was fun. Also the build up of like the reward for Red 13 when he finishes it, it's just ridiculous. Also him riding a chocobo is disturbing, but it's whatever.
get used to it.
I'm already used to it, but seeing it, I was like, okay. I remember when I brought up the, and I'm not going to talk about it here a whole lot because it's just something in Japanese and Korean games that I'm not a fan of, but not enough to care too much. I had brought up the yellow paint that's plaguing a lot of Japanese and Korean games lately, and how I prefer a different method to showing where to go than just slapping paint on it. And I was talking about how that takes me out of things. It ruins immersion for me, which I had to show the guy the definition of what immersion meant because I don't think he understood. He's like, oh, you're worried about immersion? And he posted a picture of Red 13 riding a chocobo, and I'm like, I didn't say realism, I said immersion. Being engrossed with something. I accept that Red 13 can ride chocobos in this world. Like, right? Like, this is the world. But the yellow paint just is
I'm pretty sure they comment on the shit Red 13 does in the game, too.
Sure,
So, like,
yeah. It's self-aware, and it's not the same for me. Because in this world, this is happening. But the yellow paint is like the dev winking at me going, hey, just go here. I'm like, okay, I got it. So whatever, small nitpick. But it just reminded me of that, talking about Red 13 riding the chocobo. Yeah, so overall, so far, I've been enjoying myself gameplay-wise. Story has been fine, but is very slow rolling. There's a lot of follow this around, which I'm kind of waiting for that to mean something soon. The Junon stuff was more interesting story-wise, but before and after that, not too exciting. So, yeah. Anything else to mention? Music's fantastic. The Final Fantasy's fucking flawless in that regard.
Yeah, no, it's good. I have to fight my nostalgia constantly with it, though, because I really love the original soundtrack so much.
Oh,
but
for sure.
it is good. I'm not saying it's not. I just, every time I hear a song, I'm like, it's not the original.
Yeah.
So they're very good, though. I just stubborn. So
Sure. There's the song you play on the piano, though, when you're Tifa doing the minigame in the beach area, though.
Tifa's theme.
Yeah, Tifa's theme. And playing that, I was like, oh, yeah, dude, I know this fucking song. Which
Yeah,
made
all
it,
the piano songs are great.
yeah. Yeah, it was just great to listen to while I was playing it, so that was fun. Also, grabbing all the, what are those things called? The scooter. What's up with...
The segues?
Yeah, the segues. This game and Infinite Wealth both have segues in it. It's like
I don't know.
Japanese don't want to walk anywhere.
Or who does?
Yeah, it's just funny that both of them have that. I'm like, isn't that like so 2010 or something?
I don't know. I hate the way they control.
Oh, dude, they're horrendous.
Yeah.
They almost have like tank controls unless you turn the camera with your turn. It's really weird. You have to like, where's my hands at? You gotta like move them together to turn correctly.
It's a
Otherwise,
little goofy.
otherwise, if you don't move your camera and you press right, your guy will turn a little bit and just go that direction. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun little thing, but
Yeah.
I'm glad, like, once you hit a certain amount of distance, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. You have 4,000 meters. I knocked, like, as soon as they're like, hey, do this, I'm like, all right, I'll do that right
Same.
now. And I just like drove around a loop constantly. And I came right back. So, and then nonstop when you walk by that area, there's a guy who's going like, that's the master, whatever those things are called, scooter person or something like that. And I'm just like, yes, yeah, every single time I run by. And he said that when I was Cloud, and then when I'm Tifa, he also said that. I'm like, that guy just fucking, that just blew his mind so much. He thinks everybody's that. But But yeah, I need to play a game more. I'm only on chapter 6. I do plan on playing it more. It is a game I will be beating this year for sure. It's one of my highest priority games when I have the time to play it, which is rough because it's in a game you can hop in for like 5 seconds, do a couple things, and leave. So, but when I have been playing, I'm enjoying it, and I plan on playing more. But yeah, it's an improvement in most ways over Remake. Story-wise, so far though, it hasn't done the same for me, but I have confidence that it will.
Yeah. And I can't really talk about the story beats, but from the ones I have gone through and the way they've handled some of like the bigger moments in this part of the story, I really enjoyed it. So,
have you gotten to the scene?
Oh no, not yet.
No, okay.
I have a feeling that's the end of the game.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to handle that.
Me too, and I can't even say the why part because there's some stuff that happened at the end of the last game which they are talking about now in a segment of the game I also can't talk about because let's just say when you start the game there is a what the fuck moment. Those happen periodically, I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So, and they have some connective tissue now, which has been kind of interesting. So, but it's still super vague. So I'm wondering. I don't know. I have a feeling the last few chapters, and I have a feeling I'm starting the roller coaster of that now, is going to just be info dump time. So,
yeah,
we'll see. I am in chapter 11. I only got 3 left after this. So,
yeah. Anything else?
No, that was already a long talk.
Yeah, we talked way more than I thought we would, but there's quite a bit to talk about without being specific. It's kind of hard. But
well,
whatever.
in all fairness, after putting 100 hours myself, and then I assume you've got at least 20, 30 hours in the game.
20 something, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna give you something to talk about when you do anything that long. So.
Yeah, well, let's jump into recommendations then. I think the easy one is if you're into Final Fantasy VII, in which I would assume you've already played this or are playing this. If you're into any of the Final Fantasies, if you're into Square Enix games, if you're into JRPGs and you don't mind all of them now being action RPGs, I still see people complaining about it. I'm like, this has been how it's been for a while now. So, and we still every once in a while get smaller RPGs that are more traditional. So, appreciate those and make sure to support them.
Definitely.
Unicorn Overlord.
Sea of Stars or whatever it's called.
Sea of Stars. There's just a bunch of them. What's the Bravely
Default is Square's basically turn-based RPG at this point. So.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're into any of those things, I think this is an easy recommendation. If you're into, even if you're not into JRPGs, but you're into action games, I think this game is completely welcoming to you. I think it's been designed for you.
I would argue it's more of an action game than an RPG.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it action. Purely action. It's definitely an action RPG, but it's leans hard into the action. I do appreciate that this and a couple of the other games they've made recently do still have turn-based systems where you can kind of pause the game and make decisions, because I still find myself doing that. I know you can hold a button and just press a button, a shortcut to do your moves, but sometimes I'll just hit X and so I can think for a second. But then sometimes I do it on the fly as well. But I like that. I like that balance. Other recommendations?
I mean, you kind of nailed the big one I was going to say. Though I was going to word it as if you like modern Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy's modern direction. This is just more of that. I do personally, and some people aren't going to like this, I'm sure, but I do personally prefer fighting in this game than I do to 16 because I'm also not a huge fan of, and I know they're not one for one, but I don't like Devil May Cry either. And so like a lot of things when you play 16, I'm just not really, I wasn't the biggest fan of the combat in that game. So
I really liked it.
Yeah.
But I like both, so.
Yeah. I think this one feels more like how I would want an action/RPG system, especially with the might as well be pausing, but the extreme slowdown when you're in the menus.
I like that they're not the same though too, because if you're going to have
sure.
individual Final Fantasies, I don't want them to feel the same. Because even Final Fantasy 15, kind of started this system, and I think they did it in a really janky way compared to what they're doing now. But it kind of laid the groundwork of doing a action system met with a kind of turn-based system.
I would definitely encourage them to constantly change the way the combat works and stuff, because like every Final Fantasy is supposed to be different.
Yeah, different things are going on. Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to keep some of the more, some of the foundational stuff in there. That is debatable even within their own offices on what makes a Final Fantasy game. But, I think there are some key things. Obviously, if there's no chocobos, like, what the hell are you doing? So,
Yep. Where's the Moogles at? These aren't Moogles.
They've skipped Moogles before. So, 15, in fact. They had a doll. That was it. So,
true. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, it was very weird.
The whole game was kind of weird, though. I love that game, but that game had a lot of fucking issues.
For sure. Other than that, I think you pretty much nailed all the recommendations.
I got a couple other things.
Oh, I do have one.
Go ahead.
Actually. If you are conscious of your wallet and you want something that's going to last you, for sure.
Oh, dude, yeah.
This is a big, big game. You will get your money's worth out of it, for sure. I think it is a safe bet. So,
I would recommend this to people who like to find everything to collect and finish and do. There's a lot of completionist shit here that you're going to really be able to sink some time into. And then also people who appreciate mini games and side quests and stuff to do, just activities when games offer you fun little things to do on the side, whether you like the Yakuza series, all of them, or old school JRPGs that had like the fun little things you could run into. This game is definitely trying to modernize and replicate that whole system, and they put a lot of work into it. So if you appreciate those kind of things, this game has you covered.
And also, if you look for a challenge, the game does have a hard mode. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, I'm not interested in that personally.
I'm playing
for the story. So.
I'm sure I did know that when I originally looked at the difficulty, but I forgot.
Yeah. And I know some of the mini games even change with the difficulty as well. So just to throw that out there, if you like to kind of reemphasize the bang for your buck, it's replayable as well. So
yeah. Anything else?
No.
Okay, so we'll jump into grades. You went first when it came to impressions, so I will grade first. I'm going to give this a really strong, solid B+, which could go up, could go down. I suspect it won't stay at B+. I'm only Chapter 6. A lot will happen, especially towards the end of the game, that will dictate where that will go. The quality of the game I would put in the A territory, but as of my personal drive and motivation to play for the story, it's not there yet, but I appreciate all the things they did add that were things that I wanted in the last game. They listened, they improved. I love that. So my biggest reason why I can't push into A right now is just where the story's at. So
yeah. I'm going to be pretty close to the same, though I am going to give it an A-. I feel like they handle, because this part of the story in the original one is basically a journey anyways, and this feels like that long journey on a lot of the moments from the original game, either just redone or done with the new additions to the story in mind, have been a lot of fun, including some of the bigger moments with Cloud. I won't say too much more than that. Have been really cool to see how they do it in this game, and I think it's been done well. It's been fun. Also, the Guardians, I'll just say, I guess, it was cool to see their interpretation of that in this game too. So yeah, it gets so hard not to say certain things, but I am enjoying it. I unless the ending is just awesome, I kind of suspect my grade will probably stay the same, to be honest.
I heavily suspect my grade will change.
I can't imagine it go down unless they just butcher it.
Yeah.
But I also kind of, unless there's just something mind-blowing that happens at the end, and I don't know, please don't spoil it for me, obviously. I'm pretty close to the end. But I don't see it going up either, unless something crazy happens. Because like the game itself, I kind of know how it plays at this point, obviously, and I don't know if that'll improve for me anymore. So the story is basically going to be the hard carry at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if the story does pick up, it will easily push into the A territory for me because I think most of the game is already kind of there, especially in comparison to the last game. I think it's a pretty big improvement. So, and I liked the last game. So,
Yeah, well, Midgard's just iconic. So.
oh yeah, yeah. No, the nostalgia of that was crazy to be there in like 3D. Like, I mean, the original one was 3D, but like the backgrounds weren't. They were all flat, but. Yeah, that was a lot of nostalgia bait in the best way possible. Yeah, so A-, B+, both liking it, both haven't finished it, both
Gonna
plan on
try.
finishing it. Yep, well, you're closer than I am, but I made some good progress. Like I went from chapter 2 to 6, so I'm getting through. It's just hard. There's so much shit to do in the game. Like every time I see more things, I'm like, oh god, dude, I'm never.
And I've already warned you. A fair warning to you guys: if you're still this far into the video, and you haven't done chapter 10 yet, chapter 10 is massive. To put in perspective, it feels like 2.5 chapters.
Yeah, it's scary.
So, I was ready to leave when I did. So
there's always a part in every JRPG where there's like the slog. It's weird how almost every single one of them, especially in recent years, like there's just gonna be one part, and you'll see people in comments always referring to it too, like, oh god, this part.
yeah.
So it's weird how they can't plan for that and mitigate that.
Well,
but-
because like the story parts in 10 were great. How do I say this?
I mean, you don't have
You
to.
just have 2 times the exploration zone, basically.
Yeah.
It's massive. Like, so.
Can I skip a lot of it?
You probably can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't, so.
I mean, I'll feel it out. I'll do plenty of it, but if I start feeling like it's starting to slog, then I'll push forward because, yeah, I'm not a completionist, so. I know you're not either.
I'm usually not.
I know you're not either. But in a game like this, I know you're gonna want to do all of it. So I just don't. I know myself. If I'm gonna stay engaged, I gotta push forward.
Yeah, I just know I probably won't revisit the game after I beat it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Yeah.
So, but I already see a lot of people saying it's their game of the year. So that's cool to see.
That is good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Whether you've beaten it or you're still playing it or you're planning on playing it. Hopefully, we were spoiler-free enough for you to listen. If you haven't played through it already, if you have played through it already, please give us the courtesy back of not spoiling anything for us. But what have you thought of the game, wherever you're at, if you've beaten the game or not? What are your current thoughts? If you have finished it, does it get better? Was it great? Did you love it? Were you disappointed with it without spoilers? Let us know in the comments below. What are some of your favorite things about the game? Does it improve upon what Remake did? Are you excited for the next game, even though this game's not selling as well as they wanted, which has me a little worried, but I'm sure they'll finish it. And
Square says that. I just saw the sales recently. It's like one of the top selling games.
yeah, I just keep seeing articles saying that it undersold. But Square Enix is also re-strategizing their properties and only focusing on specific things. And I'm sure with that, Final Fantasy VII will be focused on.
Yeah, that Dragon Quest.
Yeah. And yeah, let us know what you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Final Fantasy in general. I've been Seth. This has been Chevy. Thank you, Chevy, for joining me for this conversation. Thank you guys for joining us for this as well. Until the next episode, which will be Tasty Cast. Have a good one, guys, and take it easy.